Hi, everybody. Welcome to the first podcast of Dollars and Cents with an S.
That's right.
And we are here today because we think that the world of business and finance is a little too fluffy, and people are basically have their heads up their butts. And so we're going to start slapping them around a little bit so that they can get into their thick head that they have to wake up. They have to start thinking strategically, and they have to realize that a lot of what they have been taught is either designed to make them an asset on somebody else's balance sheet or is just totally irrational nonsense that has just been repeated, and that's why people continue to do it. So,
I'm going to clear that up, folks.
yeah. So Colin and I go way back because we've been, well, first of all, we have a very similar background in a lot of ways. We both we don't have college degrees. We went to the school of hard knocks. We had to figure other ways to make a way in this world, not having that to rely on. And thank God we went through it because it taught us how to think outside the box, and it gave us an appreciation for the wide spectrum of other types of solutions out there besides college, because people are addicted to that idea.
There's more than one way and there's more than one path.
Oh,
right.
Definitely. And I have to say that I wouldn't do it any other way, even now. Because think of it this way, if I went to school, right, the trauma in my brain that woke up that circuitry and then started making me read about these other books never would have activated. I would have been in that employee mindset where it's just like, okay, I have a degree. Now I have to get an interview. Now I have to get a job.
Yeah.
And that's all life has for me is making 40 or 60 or maybe even 80K a year.
Absolutely.
A biology major, and that's it, right? Never would have had an understanding of the fact that people at any point in their lives can basically just start practicing a different set of behaviors and drastically start changing their financial situation.
Totally agree.
Quickly.
And I think that's important because, kind of like you touched base on, we're just regular guys. I mean, we're regular people. We're just like you. We wake up every day, put our pants on one leg at a time, and we have jobs, and we're struggling to make our way through, this middle class lifestyle and get out. But we're here with you. We're in the trenches. We're dealing with the same struggles that everybody else deals with every day. The same limiting belief systems, the same lack of standards, and we're trying to make ourselves better. We focus on self-improvement, and we focus on multiple facets of that. Whether it's finance, whether it's health. We're going to get into relationships. We're going to get into a lot of topics here, and we just want everyone to know that it's a free exchange of ideas. We're very open-minded, and we're just going to share what we think carries value, and in our humble experience and our humble opinion, we feel that we've been through a lot, and we feel that a lot of what we've experienced, a lot of things we've learned, mostly the hard way, and definitely in my case, is very valuable. And we're big on giving back. That's at the root of everything that we do and everything that we believe in. It's part of our mission statement, both in our business and our personal lifestyle, is we want to help people. And if we could share one piece of information that might make your lives better for something that's helped us, then it's worth it. And then meanwhile, we're going to be wrong. We're going to be crazy. Probably going to curse a little bit. This is going to be like, table talk with your best friend. That's what this is about, because this is about dollars and cents. If it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. And, we're here to talk about the beauty of money and what money can do for people and how it can empower people. And hopefully with your success and our success together, we can give more to charity, and we could do more for our family and friends, and we could live the lives, live a lifestyle of abundance that we feel that we deserve at this point in our lives.
Yes, sir. And that's really what it comes back to, is that like you said, we cover a lot of areas, and the reason why is that self-improvement is the goal, and then it carries with it a lot of byproducts.
Absolutely.
when you learn to become a leader and you learn to master your emotions, the byproduct is that you do better financially, you do better health-wise, you do better in relationships.
Absolutely. Everything is synergistic.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what pisses me off is that you'll see constantly this false dichotomy where people who have some sort of resentment of being financially abundant make the assertion that you're trading in happiness or character or integrity in order to
Absolutely.
become healthy. And what we always tell people is that it really usually doesn't work that way,
No.
especially with ground up millionaires. Normally, people actually had to they had to first get a healthier perspective on money and their ego and what defines them before they could even hope to start attaining their goals.
Yeah.
Normally, those character flaws are what gets in the way of people making them.
Insecurity is a big part of that.
Yeah.
I would say, absolutely.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, people will get in their own way, just like we get in our own way. I have my own set of flaws. I have my own perceptual set on the sum of my experiences, as are you. And I don't think any two people are ever going to look at things exactly the same way. I mean, you and I are pretty close, but we even get into our squabbles or our confusions as well. But that being said, really, you touched on a really important part about the synergy. I tell people all the time that everything is connected. You don't have to be a rock star or be Superman tomorrow. You just got to be a little better. And furthermore, I mean, I know, and this is an observant truth on my behalf, is that any of the very successful people that I've met or I've worked with, and the people that I meet that I really look up to, the really successful people that look at life as a holistic thing, and they think about the health and their relationship and their family, and they think of all those things, they've usually got their shit together. You're always going to find people that might be a billionaire, but their health is terrible. Of course, that's going to happen. Of course, you're going to find a guy who maybe is a workaholic and his relationship is suffering. Of course, it's going to happen. Of course, you're going to be you're going to be flawed, just like anybody else. But at the same point, if you're just focusing on bettering yourself each and every day in small, conscientious, incremental ways, it's all going to help. And the science, I mean, abundantly makes that clear, that if you're healthier you are physically, better your mind performs. Okay, there's countless studies showing that that a lot of things are not mutually exclusive, but at the same time, they help each other. If you're healthier, you're going to think more clearly. If you wake up earlier, you're going to have a more productive day. Having a few extra bucks in your pocket will probably make your marriage or your relationship a little bit easier. Let's be honest. Having more options, having more leisure time to spend with your family, that's just going to make everything easier. And if you don't cover all of your bases, it's kind of like baseball. You have a shortstop, right? Mm-hmm. Shortstop's a power player. You got to cover all the bases. If you're not willing to think about consciously all of the aspects, you're going to get tunnel vision, and everything else is going to hurt. You have to be. It's a holistic attempt. It's in the truest sense of self-improvement. When you talk about the godfathers of the game, I mean Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins, I mean, you're talking about these guys been around for decades. They're pioneers. These guys kill the game, right? What do they talk about? Every one of them, self-improvement. Self-improvement. If you add more value to yourself and you make yourself less of a piece of shit, you're going to add more value to the marketplace, which is society. If you learn more, add more value to your education and finance, guess what? You're no longer, wielding a dagger. You're wielding a double-edged sword now. And you have to think about improving yourself in every skill set and every tool and every aspect of your life. And that's what this is about. Every aspect of your life. And we focus on money because money is a center point that happens to easily and seamlessly connect other aspects of our lives. And because money is one of the things that has a lot less to do with luck and a lot more to do with education and aptitude and ability than most people think.
Totally.
And I think we live in an actionless society, to be honest with you.
My favorite quote is, I don't even know who said it. Somebody told me, but
I'm a smart guy.
A really smart guy. He said that if money doesn't solve all your problems, it solves 80% of your problems, so you can focus on the other 20%. So it's like you have a certain percentage of the population that thinks that they're constantly in this this thinking of false choices, right?
Hmm.
Like I can't be rich and honest. I can't be rich and happy. I can't be rich and generous.
Limiting beliefs.
You know, I can't be disciplined and happy. People think that um, that self-discipline or being goal-oriented is like this emotional self-imposed martyrdom where people are constantly like hitting themselves in the face in order to constantly keep themselves in check. And
Yeah.
that is not.
It's just a retraining.
Yeah,
It's retraining your psyche.
you get there. There's actually, you start to. It's not just the end game. You
Mhm.
actually start to look forward to the process, much like somebody who's in shape.
Mhm.
You know, obviously it's a lot of pain when you're first getting into the gym because
Yeah.
you're working through a lot of years of
Uncertainty.
damage and
Yeah.
sedentary, um, what do they call atrophy,
Yeah.
right? So
To get that rust off.
you got to break gravity.
Yeah.
That's what it is. But once you break gravity, you're
Momentum.
floating,
Yes.
right? And if you see somebody who is used to jogging 5 miles a day, they don't mind that jog. They're
Mhm.
not hurting. They're not hurting. So it's like, you know, you have to break gravity. You have to get to the point where you start to enjoy the process,
Mhm.
and then it's not even a task anymore. It's your default.
Yeah.
It's your autopilot. You feel weird not doing it. You feel weird missing the workouts and wasting the money on stuff that you no longer even find very rewarding.
Yeah.
But most people, what it is because I think, this is my opinion, I think that because they're already in a state, you know, people are living in that quiet desperation where most people are in a place that they didn't think they were going to be when they thought about their future 10 years earlier,
Yeah.
right? Most people is that I thought I would have had a better job. I thought I would have had more money. I thought I would have had a more fulfilling relationship. I thought things would have turned. I thought my health would have been better.
Ask most drug addicts if at 8 years old they could ever see themselves as an addict.
Absolutely not.
Ask a homeless person if they ever imagined that they would be homeless. You see, and these are really important things. I guess some of this stuff is kind of abstract and philosophical in nature, but um, a lot of it has to do with association. You know, a lot of it's your neuro association. And what happens is, you know, people like you and I struggle daily to retrain our brains. I try not to associate pain with activities that are going to better my life. It's actually retraining. There's no bullshit. It's a lot of self-talk here. It's a lot of waking up and going, all right, buddy, let's research those stocks today. Let's get to the fucking gym. I make it a reward for myself. It's, you know, kind of like one of those old school parenting techniques. Like, hey, if you finish your dinner, I'll let you do your homework. All right. Powerful stuff. I'm just reassigning the value or the appearance of value to my own mind. I'm tricking myself. I'm disguising repetition. I'm lying to myself even because there's a certain point of the breaking the habits, those psychological habits, those limiting factors, that negativity. You gotta fucking kill that shit. You gotta just cut the shit. Stop it. If it's not lending value to your life, cut it out. Very simple. Very simple. If it's not giving you something, if it's not putting a fire in your ass, and if it's not making you wake up and look in the mirror every day and see what you're doing, you're not even playing the game. You're not even living. You're just waking up, doing a lot, as Kiyosaki says, busyness, not focusing on your business. You're doing a lot of bullshit. But let me tell you, you really need to refocus, and I think you really need to reassociate what you consider a positive or negative thing in your life, and really focus on that. Because one of the things that you and I have seen countless, and we've been close friends for over a decade, and we've seen it time and time again, and it hurts us because you and I have intrinsic motivation. One of the things you and I have constantly struggled with, and we're still struggling with this and learning how to still teach people, and I know what you have as value. So talk about you for a second, okay? You know, a college dropout, right? I don't know. That sounds so negative, but I love it. It gets me itchy. I don't look at it like.
Well, I think people connect with it.
I say college dropout. I look at it and say, well, this guy weighed the risk versus the reward. He sat around and crunched some numbers, and he learned that he had enough intrinsic motivation on his own to read the books, to find the mentors, to source the information that he wanted. And that's you, man. I mean, you're doing things in the market that I've never professionally seen anybody ever do. You're pulling out ROIs on your investment vehicles that I've never seen somebody do. And a person like me, I'm a skeptical, cynical bastard. But the things you've shown me on paper, okay, I've seen it, seen what you're doing. There is a methodology in practice. There is a technique. There is knowledge behind it. One would wonder why every Joe Schmo is not begging and pleading for you to help them. Why and that's the thing, is we need to let people know that they can do this. I mean, you're a really bright guy, but I think one of the best things about you is that you know how to break down information in palatable and useful ways that most people can understand. That's how I learned a lot about investing from you personally, even. I like simple talk. I like straightforward talk. And I think that that's important, but we're always going to struggle with the idea that, and for the people listening and for our future listeners, you're listening because you're probably different. Something made you say you wanted to learn something today. You wanted to self-reflect. You wanted to listen. You do hell of a lot more learning from listening than you do talking, right? So you're here, okay? And we appreciate that. And I'd like to say that arguably makes you, in my estimates, sad estimates now, probably better than 99% of the population. I don't think everybody has it in them. But I think if you've taken any step ever, and if you've really assessed your values and your goals and your morals, and you know who you are as a person, if you've taken any step forward whatsoever, I think you're just like us. I think you're just a go-getter. I think you might have to work on your organization. You might have to work on your the procedural end of things, the actual knowledge. You might have to focus on the action output. But whatever it is, if you're here and you're with us, you're like us. You're just a regular person trying to do the best you can for yourself and your family. That's it.
Yep.
And that is admirable, and you can pat yourself in the back because you're different. Okay? That's huge.
And thanks for your compliments about what I do with investing.
It is what it is. It's a compliment for sure. But the proof's in the pudding, man. I'm a proof guy. I go by numbers, and I go by things that I see. I've tried your techniques, and I've seen it work. I've seen what it's done for my IRA. I've seen what these, Canfield or Rowan would call Mastermind Alliance, our meetings where we keep each other accountable, where we talk about our development and we have a friendship that's based on, positivity. I think that that's great. And I think a good first step for you viewers out there would be to link up with like-minded individuals. Feel free to reach out to us. We're always looking to learn from other people and, broaden our horizons. But we're building a unit, a family, an extended family of people that just want to help each other and do well and learn from each other. So I'm really excited about that. We have a real sick team, and we have a unbelievably gifted pool of human resources that we are just waiting to let loose for you guys. We have some really kick-ass guest speakers and some people we're going to bring on the show that are really just going to rock it out, take it to the next level. So we're very excited about that, and we're glad to have you with us.
Yeah, I've been like this network dive bomber where I've just kind of been getting in. I'm like, hey, you know something, show, talk to me about what you're doing or whatnot. And I'm telling you, man, if you have Google, the two most profitable words that you can type in is how to, or YouTube, right? Because I've been an investor for 8 years, but I've just gotten into the online business, and I'm definitely not a natural. In fact, I hate technology because I hate things that change for no reason. I hate turning on something that worked yesterday and then doing the same exact thing today, and then now there's something wrong with it. Like, I
just pulled up my taskbar on Google to look at how many things I've looked up how to. So you're right. You're dead right about that. It's there. It's available, man. We got a smartphone in our hands.
Here's the thing, right?
There's no excuse no more.
If you hear people say, well, if it's so easy, why doesn't everybody do it? It's like, because everybody just like you asked that question instead of how to.
Yeah.
They ask, why isn't everybody else doing it? It's like, because success is reserved for the people that don't worry about why other people aren't doing it.
Yes.
They go out and they find out for themselves whether it's possible.
Yes.
If you want to, that's a herd mentality question. Why isn't the rest of the herd doing it? Because I only feel safe traveling with the rest of the herd. So what you're saying is you only want to be mediocre because you're only willing to do what everybody else is doing. And that is why you're going to get mediocre results. And then you have to realize that there are lots of institutions and players in the game that profit by keeping you ignorant.
Absolutely.
And I don't care whether you're talking about government, who has you believe that Social Security is some sort of reliable and sufficient retirement for you, or you're talking about Wall Street that has somebody believing that you can only scrape up $100 or $200 a month, and they're going to get you 5.5% returns after they take their big fat fees.
No,
They're going to tell you that that's what you need to do in order to prepare for retirement.
Yeah.
And then you're wondering why baby boomers, almost all of them have less than $50,000 in the bank account to retire on. And that's why they're working into their 70s and their 80s, and they can't afford the extensive medical bills that are piling up because you get older, you get sick more. That's how it works.
Absolutely.
So you can't assume that anybody has your best interests in mind more than you do. And you can't assume that just because nobody else is doing it that you shouldn't try. People don't succeed because of their self-talk. They don't succeed not because they tried and failed, but because they never even gave it a shot. They rationalize here's what people do. Your comfort zone, if you're ever wondering where the parameters of your comfort zone is, look at where your assumptions are.
Yeah.
Because your assumptions is what allows you to avoid the due diligence. It's what allows you to avoid having to actually investigate something.
I've been there.
I've
done that.
I'm still there every day. There's tons of stuff where you have to draw a line in the sand. You can't research everything because then you get nothing done, right?
Yeah, you get analysis paralysis. You fall a rabbit hole.
I get spammed.
Organizing.
I get spammed 20 times a day, 30 times a day. Different business opportunities, lending opportunities, investment opportunities. And yes, I do have assumptions, but those assumptions, I recognize them as assumptions. It's like that's a placeholder. The bottom line is it's like when you get married, if you have a good wife, you don't cheat on them. When you already have something that works, rather than go wander off and get distracted by something else, you commit to it because it's already working. It's already doing everything you need it to do. Right? Yeah. So most people go around, they hop from one to the other, usually because they don't have very strong reasons and they're trying to find, Robert Kiyosaki says
that could be tied to societal culture.
Yeah. Yeah. If you don't have a strong enough why, you always look for an easier how to. That's what
they said is you shouldn't look for an easy load or an easy road. That's not what life is about. It's about unfortunately, I'm sorry. Sorry everybody, you gotta work. It's going to take a lot of fucking work. You're going to wake up. You're going to be tired as fuck. You're not going to want to get out of bed. You're going to have to do it. There's going to be a lot of times where you want to go to bed and you got to stay up and do more work. There's a lot of times where you got to make phone calls you don't want to make. You might be nervous. You might feel awkward. I don't know. It's fucking work. It's not about working harder necessarily, but it's about being action oriented. It's a lot of work to do anything. To do anything, it's going to take work. And the output end of things, if the work's not there, it doesn't matter how fucking smart you are. We all know people like that. You and I know people, painfully intelligent people, able-bodied people, superior mental faculties, gifted situations. We'll even call them privileged. I hate that word. Privileged lifestyles. Still ain't doing shit, man. Same as they were last week. Same as they were last month. Same as they were last year, man.
Because society teaches them to be spectators, right? What do people do? Everybody likes to watch football. Nobody wants to try and play it.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be the astronomer. Nobody wants to be the astronaut. Everybody wants to sit in their
chair. And they can be. And they can
put their 2 cents in rather than actually get up and get their hands dirty. And the people who are rich that you admire so much, that you look up to, that you say, I wish I could do that. Guess what?
Rich people.
They do things that you don't do.
Yes.
They do things that you don't do.
Yeah.
And it's not even harder, it's just different, because it is hard to stay up all night and study a textbook and remember and understand and comprehend calculations to do well in a test. It's hard. I'm not saying it's not hard, but
Yeah.
the thing is that money is not a reward for how much you know. It's a reward for how capable you are at
Yeah.
solving a problem. It's a reward for solving problems, because I get into this thing where people do put effort in, but they put effort into things that don't necessarily benefit other people, right?
Yeah.
Like, I understand that you may work very hard in studying, but have you turned your studying into any sort of solution for another human being? Because if you haven't, I mean, I
Yeah.
could sit here and I could smack my face with a 2x4 all day, and that's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that I'm putting in. Does that mean I deserve to get paid for it?
Mhm.
Absolutely not. My income is contingent upon my impact that I have on other
Yes.
people.
It's your value, it's your production.
Yeah.
It is your value and your production and what you bring to the marketplace, which is society. Absolutely, man.
I mean,
Absolutely.
they make it sound so ugly. Like,
No, it's not.
it's like, shouldn't the people who have the strongest impact on society, that progress society, that solve society's biggest problems, shouldn't they be rewarded the most? Like, I never really
Well,
understood.
naturally, yeah.
So it's like, I mean, I don't want to get political or anything like that, but
Mhm.
what I'm trying to say is that a lot of the reason that people are frustrated with where they are, and and perhaps even bitter or resentful towards other people who might be further along, is because, Gary Vaynerchuk puts it beautifully. It's that you're too focused on what should be instead of what's necessary, right?
Absolutely, man.
You no, what is it? Nobody gives a fuck about your feelings, bro.
No.
Right?
Yeah, no.
Beautiful line.
Yeah.
And it's so true, because if
Very
you
true.
stop wasting the energy of getting all upset about what isn't
Yeah.
going your way, and
Things you can't control.
you adapted to it, you know,
Well, you
that's the
know
real
what?
problem.
You know why I've always been interested in when I was in college, I was going to school for accounting initially. I have I think a good understanding of the generally accepted accounting principles and the language of business, which is accounting. And one thing I love about money, same fucking thing I love about weightlifting. Quantifiable, man. It's not rocket science. It's pluses and minuses and a whole bunch of common sense in between. You master your personal budget and you learn to spend less than you make, and you learn how to give, and you learn how to invest, and you just focus on the basic things, you're going to be all right. But what I like, and I said, it's not even a political thing. It's not even politics. It's personal philosophy. Because I'll tell you what, Herbie and I are very political people. We have brain cells. We think, we care, we give a shit. We landed on our own beliefs. Some of them might be very different than yours. We found these to be truths, self-evident truths. It doesn't matter where we are on the political spectrum. You know what we are? Rugged individualists. Individualists. I don't give a fuck if you're a Democrat. Don't give a fuck if you're a Republican. You know what we're all about? People. Simple. My personal philosophy and how I live my daily life, whether I'm nice to my mailman, I treat my staff well at work, good to my wife, that is going to have a much, much larger effect on my daily life than whoever the fuck the president may be, who's running the Fed, who's running city council. It doesn't fucking make a real honest difference day to day. Of course, I'm going to forecast trends and stay involved in politics because you're a fucking idiot if you're not. If you're an able-bodied person, you're not paying attention to politics, something's fucking wrong with you. But I pay attention to that to understand the trends. Because, like you've taught me this, is Warren Buffett looks at the big picture. He looks at the whole field, and he thinks ahead. And unless you think about no matter who the fuck is in power, if the market's going up, down, left, right, or sideways, you're going to make money. I've seen you do it. Up, down, left, or right, sideways markets. Doesn't matter. You've made money. I've seen you do it. Okay? So your personal truth and your personal philosophy has a lot fucking less to do with the government and who's in power and what's going on in the zeitgeist of the world at the time. I'm telling you, does it have an effect? Absolutely. Because my paycheck, when I look at my deductions, that's a direct reflection of what you idiots have put into power. All right? Not me. I'm not taking credit for that shit. That being said, I think a lot about your personal actions. You can sink or swim in any environment. And we've historically, I know you're a big fan of history as well, but how many people in the fucking middle of the Great Depression made millions? It's out there. It's possible. Is it harder? Fuck yeah. Do you have to be more inventive or creative? Maybe even work harder. Oh no. Oh no.
And you know what's funny? If you look at the Great Depression, the people who made out followed rules that still apply today.
Absolutely.
Right? They're not swarming in debt.
Yeah.
They don't take leveraged positions on speculative wide gambles. They don't they spent less than they made. Even during the 20s. You know how we lived through the 90s and the early 2000s, which was in many ways similar to the roaring 20s. You had a society that was very much focused on living in the moment and living for today and having a good time and, partying it up and probably spending a lot, right? So when you're you're in a society where you're the loser by being more conservative and more boring than everybody else around you. But guess what? You're the one with the last laugh when the crash happened and you had a pillow of cash and you saw assets go on sale like apartment buildings and stocks and things like that. And when everybody else was going crazy because they were taking leveraged losses, people were trading huge on margin. And then those margin calls came in, totally decimated them. And people were making run on the banks because they trusted the banks to be custodians of their money. And then the people who did the best had cash on hand and they were ready to strike when assets went on sale. And guess what? Those are the people that made a lot of money. Now, you could have done that in the 80s. You could have done that after the crash of the dot-com bubble. You could have done that after the crash of 2008. When everybody
Some people just got creative or inventive. They thought of other markets or other things or different ways of working the stock market. I mean, there's always a way, man. There really is.
If you look at,
if you think fatalistic and you think that there isn't a way and it is what it is and everything's luck, then fuck you. Don't even listen anymore. Die. Go lay in the ground and fucking die. That's what you're fucking doing. Lay in the ground, die.
Yeah.
You're wasting my fucking oxygen
Or figure some other lifestyle that's not contingent on money.
Be a minimalist. Go live in the fucking woods.
Yeah. Become a hermit. Go to a monastery. Do something.
It's great.
Fine. That's great. But if you're in the game where your lifestyle is contingent on money, and this is what I don't understand. People say the love of money is the root of all evil. That's like saying the love of food is the root of all evil. You got to eat.
Oh,
the love of all shelter is the root of all evil. Well, you got to have a roof over your head.
I think
it's such an oversimplification.
Yeah.
It's like what you're talking about is resources, and what you're doing is you're criticizing people who are wise with their resources. It is a representation of resources. So if you're saying that it's not smart, or even worse, you're not a good person for being conscious of making sure that you have reserves.
Yeah.
Or some sort of passive, right? Like that's like me calling a farmer greedy because he put some of his
double his cattle stock. It's fucking stupid.
To plant next year. It doesn't make any sense. And unfortunately, a lot of society I think has been brainwashed into to think that you're a bad person if you have ever any level of consideration about what you do with your money. And
I hate to say it, I mean that's the elephant in the room that we got to talk about, man. We got to really dissect that, because I feel that is one of the. It all starts with self-improvement. If you can't master yourself or your mind, you're not going to go to master. Not
And you really have no right to complain about any external factors if you haven't made any if you're not owning your own actions, right? Mm-hmm. You can blame everybody else in the room.
Yeah.
But if you have made no attempt to actually improve in spite of it, then you have no way of telling how much is your lack versus the circumstances that are set against you, right?
Absolutely.
You're saying 100% of the reason you're not where you want to be is because this person is corrupt and this person is taxing me this too much and this employer doesn't pay me enough. But you won't keep a journal about money coming in and money coming out. You won't. You'll complain about not having a job, but I guarantee you that if you kept track of how your minutes are used each day, you probably didn't apply.
Yeah.
You probably didn't apply to a lot of jobs.
You know what's on my refrigerator right now? It's a very simple statement. And I would say that this is definitely inspired by Jim Rohn, who I love and have a lot of respect for. Reasons for not achieving all of my goals. Capital letters, me. That's it, man. That's it. And you know what? Once again, I think this is really, really important to talk about this because this is something that you and I have seen and, strange enough, not understood really from a lot of other people. Listen up, folks. If you're going to be a part of this show, don't expect us to demonize rich people. Don't expect hating ass attitude. Don't expect jealousy or covetousness. Nope. Not going to happen. Whether you want to call it, pump think or positive thinking, doesn't fucking matter because any negative or limiting thought is simply not going to help you. Simple. Does it help you or does it not? It does not. Remove it. You and I have seen this touches base, I guess, on some political philosophies, but people now more than ever, I'd say, my young ripe age of 33, I'm starting to realize that people really fucking hate the rich. They really do. They just have this giant hard-on for rich people. And you know what? There's different types of rich. There's intergenerational rich. There's old rich. There's new rich. Guess what? People like you and me.
No, we can lump them all up. We can just lump them all up and just paint them with one brush.
There's
one
good
person cured cancer, the other opened a pizza chain, but they're the same
exact,
whatever. It doesn't matter. Well,
let me ask you a question. Is it possible? I got to loosely define capitalism for you. Is it possible for Party A to work with Party B and have a mutual beneficial exchange of goods and or services and or ideas, and all parties benefit?
Of course it is, and I'll tell you why. Tell you why. Here's the zero-sum mentality. The zero-sum mentality is that there is no such thing as net progress, because if you one thing progresses, another regresses, right? So what that's saying is that a finished product cannot be more than the sum of its parts. So that's like saying there's no difference between a fully assembled house where all the parts are organized in a certain way, structured in a certain way where they support each other to create a useful structure, versus a pile of raw supplies that is just sitting there doing nothing, completely useless. And that's what they're saying about business is that, well, they treat it at the zero-sum game where it's all it is betting, and one person wins, one person because when you have one person here who has a certain service or skill set or talent who can fix the one missing key element to make their dream come true over here, right? And then you have this person gets the missing ingredient to make their plan a reality, and this person gets their missing ingredient to make their plan a reality, and then they both have this abundance that occurred because two people came together and they solved each other's problems.
It's beautiful.
I don't understand how you can think that. I mean, yes, do people get ripped off? Yes. Are there situations where it really is a zero-sum game? Yes. But there are plenty of situations where it is honest business where
in any paradigm that's going to happen. You're going to have good people and bad people.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think a lot of that's your outlook. I'll be honest, man. A lot of these people that have such a hard-on for the wealthy and the 1% and this and that, first of all, you don't understand as much about economics as you'd like to because standard of livings and to work by volume,
Yeah.
But the thing is this. You and I look at them and say, wow, What an abundant lifestyle. Wow, I wonder what they did to get there. I wonder what they did to keep that lifestyle, which is an art in and of itself. And, and then it goes even further, and people get mad at this intergenerational wealth. Well, I don't know about you, but when I have children, I don't. Well, sure as fuck don't want them to grow up like I did. That's for damn sure. I'd like, if I can afford my future children, and if I can afford my goddaughter and my family certain luxuries or privileges, absolutely. There's America. I don't want my kid to go through the same bullshit I did. Who the fuck are you to get mad or jealous because that wealthy guy bought his daughter a fucking BMW?
Well, I mean, if you
Maybe
really
he
want to go
bought
to the
it for her.
extreme,
Maybe she worked for it. Maybe there's a lot more going on. It doesn't matter. You shouldn't worry about how people raise their children, that they spoil them or this and that. Stop being a hater. Have you spent, instead of delegating your energy and your attention, your focus on negativity and being so jealous, fucking jealousy. It's fucking jealousy is what it comes down to. Period. Cut the shit. Cut the shit. It's fucking jealous. They have something you want. Oh, the daddy gave it to them. Oh, they're just lucky. They had friends who got them the job. Guess what? However the fuck they did it. They did it. You should at least try to do it too. I never understood being angry at them.
well, listen.
I am lucky.
If my car's
I live in one of the highest per capita income areas in the entire nation. My neighbors are all fucking rich, and it's awesome. They're the nicest fucking people. Huntington is one of the most charitable towns anywhere. That every fucking, where you look, there's a charity, there's an event, there's a fundraiser. These people care and they give back. And let me tell you, I've been to the town-wide events. I've seen the monstrous checks that these people write for really grassroots, organic, great charities. I notice the good stuff. I don't know about you guys, but I see wealthy people and I say, they're doing theirs. If they're not hurting anyone else, who gives a fuck? I'm sure they probably put a few people on the payroll. They're probably bettering their lives. It's a mutually agreed upon exchange. If I don't want to work at a job and if it sucks and they're not paying me enough, I quit. I either create more value in myself so I'm more marketable in the marketplace, or I make a free choice to go somewhere else. I let them compete for my labor because my labor is valuable. If you look at your labor and look at yourself like you're not worth anything, well, guess what? That's going to carry over. It's going to carry over to how you carry yourself, how you speak, how you feel about your self-confidence, and it's absolutely going to determine your number. If I think I'm the fucking shit and I have my resume backs it up, well, guess what? I command a certain amount of value, okay? And my end game is never to work for anyone else. My end game is to be those wealthy people. That's why you and I are going to focus. Everything we do will connect to or lead to personal financial independence. Some of you will be more entrepreneurial in spirit. Some of you are hard workers and hustlers. Maybe that's your angle. We're still going to try to get you to invest. We're still going to try to get you to create more passive income. We're still going to make you think more like an investor because we want to be that. So if you want to be wealthy and you want to have more, hang with us. We're going to get through this together. If you want to sit around fucking jerking off, pointing fingers, wasting your time, being bitter and jealous, blaming the government, blaming the right wing, blaming the left wing, you got it wrong. You're not even playing the game. You're not even playing the game. You got to just slow down and just focus, because everything we do benefits other people. No one will ever say that Herbert and or Colin did things on other people's backs. They were greedy. They abused people. Everything I've done to make money has been a mutually beneficial exchange. Anyone that's ever worked for me said yes.
Because otherwise, why would the other party do it? Because otherwise, why would the other party do it?
Exactly.
If I'm given such a bad deal, why are they saying yes to it?
Yes.
Why they obviously had some sort of reason where that number or that proposal had meaning based on the situation they were in their life. And this is what people don't understand. It's not black and white.
Yeah.
It is not black and white. If somebody bought a house 50 years ago for $5,000, right? And the fair market price of that property is now $300,000, but because they need to close quickly, maybe the guy had a stroke and he needs to get into a nursing home, and I only offer him $250 instead of $300, I'm not a bad guy for ripping him off. He's
No, you're
paying me
not.
for the fact that I'm coming in and I'm taking care of his time
Precisely.
sensitivity.
Precisely.
I win because I get a property at a discount. He wins because I can close faster than somebody who has to go do the runaround with the banks and get the mortgage,
Yeah.
or get the permits for the house that may not be up to code, right? So we both win. He made money. He went from 10,000 to 250,000. I
Yeah.
make money because I bought something for 250 and I can sell it for 3.
And it's
And
choice.
his problem is solved. Nobody
Precisely.
lost there.
Nobody lost.
Nobody lost there. But people don't understand that. And all we're trying to say, this is the whole point of this first podcast, is that if you're too focused on what other people are doing, you are wasting time, energy, and emotion that could be better spent on improving your own actions, your own decisions,
Yeah.
your own state of mind,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Because, like you said, if you're not playing the game, you have no right to complain about the rules.
You're not even in it. You're not even in the game.
Okay?
Yeah.
I'm not talking about other places in the world where you
Yeah.
can't get running food, you can't get water, okay? But if you can eat
Yeah.
and drink and stay out of the rain, and you have you have clothes to put on, I'm sorry, you are in the top 5% of the world.
Yeah. That's when people start thinking.
Go over the Philippines. They live in
Yeah.
shanties.
Yeah.
Go over to Africa.
Yeah.
I
Look at
donate to orphanages in Africa
Yeah.
because they're eating. They sleep on dirt.
Yeah.
Don't come to me and say that you're poor.
Yeah.
When you have a full belly and you're well hydrated.
Yeah.
And you have warmth at night. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously the game isn't fair. Obviously some people have advantages
Yes, and I agree
over
with that.
other people.
Absolutely.
But if you look at the most memorable stories in history, it's the people who insisted on being treated the same,
Despite their obstacles.
despite their obstacles.
Mhm.
Those
I
are the
agree.
heroes. Those are the leaders. Those are the
Yeah.
ones that set the example and win the
Well,
respect and hearts of other people.
absolutely. And I think this the very, very, very simple point to just kind of make is, um, once it's really simple, folks. Fucking simple. Positive thinking. You can be so positive that you're lying to yourself, which I don't. I believe in very, very harsh self-reflection, which we'll get into at a later date. But you could lie to yourself and just like super positive think everything, and you could be missing out on so much shit because you're just trying so hard to smile. I get that. But at the same point, any negative thought process or limiting factor will fuck you. Don't even entertain it. The bad thought comes in, remove it. Control your thoughts, they become words. Control your words, they become actions, become habits, become character, become lifestyle. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. It's all premised on your thoughts. And there's a few things. If you're welcome, if you're going to be welcome to this, these meetings, understand we're not going to be demonizing the rich. Understand we're going to be looking for mentorship and networking ability, and understand that we're going to be applauding the positivity in the world. And we're going to be talking a lot about charity. We're going to be talking a lot about how people can help each other. And you're going to really find that it's a beautiful thing, and capitalism in its truest form can be really awesome. And like you said, every successful person I've ever known, this is America. This country's got its problems. Everyone can give you a huge list of the country's problems. Me, I'm awesome at that. I'm fucking awesome at that. A lot of problems. But guess what? Still on top, baby. There is still more room, arguably, for social mobility in the United States. I think only because our market's more dynamic and more random and crazy.
Yeah.
To make it here than anywhere. Because if you're an able-bodied person and you have adequate mental faculties, I've said this for years and years and years, there's no excuse. Because people like you and I who have friend and family and business connections around the world see people living in mud huts, hustling, killing it, killing the game. Because you know what? They know that in spite of their obstacles, getting paid $13 a month, motherfuckers have a right to complain here. It's comical. They're trying. So my thing is this, whether you are, I'm going to lightly graze over this, but whether you are a woman or you are short or tall or fat or black or white or you were born in Long Island, New York, or you were born in Oklahoma. I don't care. You can't change the weather and the rain and the seasons and the environment. You can't change the world, and you can't necessarily yourself change who's in office. But you really have an immense amount of power and control and sovereignty and free will and domain, and you have freedom of choice. So that being said, you know,
And you know
no
what?
no one is here to blame except you.
You know what I've learned too? Is that the moment somebody has a problem and you artfully describe that you have the solution to it,
Mhm.
is the moment that they do not care about your color, your gender, your background.
Absolutely.
They do not care. What they care about is getting their hands on that solution. And that is why, in many ways, the free market is the great equalizer.
Yeah.
Because if you can come up
Absolutely.
with a solution,
Free market's the best thing.
I have never seen a culture or an atmosphere where more different backgrounds civilly work together
Yeah.
in order to accomplish a goal than I have in
Natural.
business.
I would rather let human beings and their desires and their creation of markets and destruction of markets and their energies. I would rather let them determine my price discovery and wage discovery, and if my value or my idea has value in the marketplace. I can't determine that. I can't just come up with and invent something and say this has value. The value is created by the market. The value is created by other people out there. Okay. So yeah, I think capitalism is great when used properly. Everything we talk about in the show, we will try to be as ethical as possible. I'm just warning you. I'm a fucking Darwinist. I'm a hardcore Darwinist. It does not mean that it's mutually exclusive of lacking empathy and compassion.
Yeah, Colin, you're gonna be the bad cop, and I'm gonna be like the slightly less bad cop.
Yeah, but there's a lot to be said about, like, once again, I live in Huntington. I live in an unbelievably wealthy area surrounded by Lloyd Neck, Lloyd Harbor, Cold Spring Harbor. I mean, you name it. I mean, these are Forbes 500 company owners. These are huge movers and shakers of society that are my neighbors. Okay, I'm trying to get there. All right, but surrounded by these people, I've learned a lot from picking their brains in non-invasive way. Wealthy people don't like to be assaulted. Like you told me one day, like the hot girl at the club, everyone wants a piece of them.
Yeah.
But there's a lot to be said by just talking to them, learning from them, pressing the flesh, just getting to know them. And I can tell you, all of the black lawyers and doctors and judges and really successful businessmen and women that I know in Huntington, they've had struggles. Some of these people I know came through the 60s and 70s, very turbulent times in America, but guess what? They did it. They don't give a fuck. They don't talk about, it's not that they're denying that it exists. We're not even getting into whether systemic racism exists or doesn't exist, or how much so, or who it affects.
We're looking at a formula for success.
What I'm looking at is this. So fucking what? So fucking what? Really? Harsh. I have no legs. My wife left me. My dog just died. And I got fucking stage 1 cancer. Well, you can lay on the ground and fucking die, or you can try. Really fucking simple. Choice. Okay? I mean, we all need to go back to if P implies Q, basic logic thinking, right? Follow the logic train. You can, unless you can by yourself change the earth and the wind and the sea and the nature and the zeitgeist and the politics. You can't. You're one person. You can't change the world and your environment. But you can change your decision making. You can change your actions. You can change your disposition, right? Racism exists. I say, so what? Kick ass anyway. There's nothing fucking cooler to me than watching a person who might have had it harder than my white Easter boy haircut ass. Absolutely. Don't get it twisted. You don't know me. You don't know my lifestyle, where I'm from, or what I've done, or what I've been through. Okay? Everyone has their own struggles. Some are harder. Some are systemic. Some are physical or health related. I say, fuck it. Okay. So what? You came to me and cried to me for an hour about your problems. It's not that I would be, remiss, or I would discount your problems or your sufferings. I'm simply going to get to a point where I say, okay, these things exist. Can you change them? Yes or no? No, you cannot change them by yourself, right? But you can just do the best you can do. You and I are doing the best we can do given the hand that we've been dealt.
Yeah.
I know where you're
And that goes, I mean,
know
that's
where you
everything.
grew up. I know your family unit. I've seen you hustle and work. I've seen the shit you've been through. I know you've gone beyond without. And you know what? People might look at us and say, who are these fucking regular guys trying to teach me about life? I learn a lot by talking about it. I learn a lot by repetition. I learn a lot from listening to others. And you know what? I'm going through it just like you. We're going to learn together. But I'm trying. And I'm trying to limit your negative beliefs. I'm trying to put a positive spin on it. But
This is
there
tough
will
love.
be a point where we call you out on your bullshit. And we don't want to hear the fatalistic, deterministic, pussy bullshit. I don't want to hear it. Don't care. Because for every time you share a struggle with me, I can show you some people that have had it exponentially worse than I even have, or you have even had, and who kick my ass, who make me look like nothing. You work with people around the world on a daily basis, actually, and you've seen people in fucking Zaire do more than people that live in Huntington, New York. What is the limiting factor?
Because
It's not the environment.
people who want to win stop caring about that stuff. And that's the bottom line.
Mm.
People who want to win, I'm sorry, I don't care what your background is.
Yeah.
And get me wrong, there's no guarantees. There are people who did everything right and they just got dropped. It happens.
Yes.
Just like on the battlefield. It's not like all the soldiers that lived got the best training and all the soldiers that lost got the worst training. No. It happens. But it's about what are you going to do to drastically increase your odds of success. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because some people might have better fishing gear than other people. Some people might have fresher bait than other people. But if your rod's not in the water, you're guaranteed not to catch a fish. Yeah. That's just the bottom line. So,
get creative. Use 2 rods. Change the technique. Be a better fisherman than the guy who has a more expensive rod and tackle equipment. I get it. It's a great analogy.
Be more patient. Be more patient. Maybe the other guy can catch more fish, but your patience will help you prevail.
And maybe you're a hunter, not a fisherman.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah. So we gotta wrap it up. But this is our first broadcast. Thanks for tuning in, guys. This is pretty general, but we're gonna get into some real specific stuff. We're gonna be talking everything about personal development. We're gonna be talking about business. We're gonna be talking about stocks, options, real estate. We're gonna be talking about anything else related to
any hot topic, current events.
Yep. We're going to try to keep it light on the political, but we're going to keep it heavy on the philosophy because we want you guys to be self-empowered. We want you guys, regardless of what you're facing, we want you to believe in yourself, and we want you to do everything that you can do within your personal power to maximize your chances of success.
Outside of the world around you, and you're limiting truth.
Correct. So we're calling it, and thanks for joining in, guys, and we will see you next time.
See you next time, guys. Thanks a lot.